vengo con la felicidad, vengo con la felicidad nuestra. Y junto a ello traigo un beso que me dé un sí de respuesta. Vengo con una maleta llena de canciones que escribí para desahogar en todo este amor.
The relaunched Financial Times is the premier business newspaper in Tanzania. The Financial Times is a weekly source of information and business insight for the most successful leaders, executives, investors, and entrepreneurs in Tanzania and throughout the East Africa region. We provide critical business insight and in-depth features on companies, people, strategies, ideas, and economic trends. The Financial Times offers an unrivaled platform for advertisers to enhance brand awareness and move products. We will enable you to reach confident and informed consumers and decision makers who are ready to buy, which includes company CEOs, CFOs, managers, entrepreneurs, policymakers in government, politics and civil society, diplomats, members of the academia, and other key influencers. See examples of advertisement opportunities featured in Financial Times T sections below: telecom sections, real estate section, company news, banking, finance and insurance industry, information technology, national, regional and global markets overview, motoring, lifestyle. Get your copy of Financial Times for only 2,000 Tanzania shillings only.
In Capital News tonight, another body is found in the recovery operation of MV Nyerere. Angry protesters burn a government office in Beni. 21 teams in 9 countries to participate in the Zone 5 Basketball Championships. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's get started with the national news. Rescue teams are continuing with efforts to recover the sunken MV Nyerere ferry in cooperation with marine transport stakeholders and under the supervision of the Chief of Defense Forces, General Venance Mabeo. During the recovery operation in the morning, naval officers retrieved the body of a woman underneath the sunken ferry. The Minister for Works, Transport and Communications, Engineer Isaac Mwewe, said that the body has already been identified by her relatives after it was sent to Wisia Health Center, and that 228 bodies have so far been retrieved in the recovery operation. Rescue teams are continuing with efforts to recover the sunken MV Nyerere ferry in cooperation with marine transport stakeholders and under the supervision
searching for the deceased bodies. Following the President's directive, we have already given 269 million shillings to those who lost relatives, as well as the 41 people who were in the ferry accident and survived after rescue. I have been here from day one, and there are other people coming out of the woodwork. We will not pay them anything. We rescued 41 people, and those are the ones we will pay. Tanzanians have witnessed how our nation was displayed in this accident nationally. On dealing with this national disaster, coping with this disaster, the government of Zanzibar has been right by our side. You saw they brought a team of divers from defense and safety organs on their side. Thus, we clearly see that we as Tanzanians work together in good and in hardships.
Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has commended the Executive Chairman of IPP, Dr. Reginald Mengi, for establishing a foundation to support people with disabilities and urged other business people to participate fully in addressing challenges facing the special group. Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa gave the tribute in Dar es Salaam when launching the Dr. Reginald Mengi Persons with Disabilities Foundation DRMF, which has been formed following the advice he gave Dr. Mengi earlier on this year at a lunch that was organized by Dr. Mengi for people with disabilities. Prime Minister Majaliwa also said that the fifth phase government is committed to caring for people with special needs and that President Dr. John Magufuli values the efforts taken by individuals to address challenges facing people with disabilities. Earlier welcoming Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa, the executive chairman of IPP, Dr. Reginald Mengi called on Tanzanians to support people with disabilities and not to stigmatize them.
Set aside opportunities in the business areas to give business opportunities to our fellows with disabilities. But for those who have already done business and got profit, to set aside a part of money for our fellows with disabilities. This is my plea to you, that we should see each other as people of God, and God's work has no fault. Let's love them. Let's give them worth. Let's recognize them and help them. I think if you love a person, you can help them. But if there's no love, you can't help them. Let us start with love. The biggest goal of this organization of Dr. Reginald Mengi, 1, is to make sure we ensure change in perception towards disabled people so that they believe they can. This word has also been used by Honorable Morel to show that he fought, and that if you fight, you can. Don't look at what you don't have. Look at what you can do with your condition. Don't look at your disability. Look at your ability with what you have.
A few months ago, the Muhimbili National Hospital carried out an operation to separate two conjoined twins who were joined at the stomach area. The operation was a success as both twins are currently in good condition. The two twin boys were born as conjoined twins in July this year in Kisarawe Coast region, and after it was discovered they were conjoined, they were taken to Muhimbili National Hospital, where they underwent an operation on September 23rd that took 5 hours under the supervision and 10 specialists. This is the second time that Muhimbili National Hospital has successfully carried out an operation to separate conjoined twins.
I really think that my babies have gotten a good service. First, I did not expect they would get such a service. When I first saw them joined, I got so worried. I did not expect them to be separated. I thank the nurses, I thank the doctors. I stayed well here. I also thank the director who has given me this chance. We started doing our research on them because it seemed they were joined in the stomach area, but we also wanted to see how the inner organs were. So we had to do tests like ultrasound, CT scan and MRI. This showed that the bigger area which was joined is the liver and a small bone at the chest. This has succeeded because the hospital has responded to the call of the President that hospitals should provide good services so as to reduce the number of patients referred to abroad hospitals. So the National Hospital has been doing these changes.
President Dr. John Magufuli has appointed Dr. Damas Daniel Ndumparo as the Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation. Dr. Ndumparo, who is a Member of Parliament for Songea, has replaced Dr. Susan Alphonse Kolimba, whose appointment has been revoked. President Magufuli has also appointed Dr. Faraji Kasidi Myepe as the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation. Dr. Myepe replaces Professor Adolf Mkenda, who has been appointed as the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Natural Resources and Tourism. Professor Mkenda replaces retired Major General Gaudens Milanzi, who has retired. Appointment of the leaders comes into effect today, and they will be sworn in at a date to be announced later. 3 robbers have been killed by residents from Maziwa village in Chemba district, Dodoma region, after they attacked a businessman from the village and stole 1 million shillings from his shop. The police commander of Dodoma region, ACP Gals Mroto, said the robbers were found in possession of a locally made gun.
This is what was used at the incident in Maziwa village, where 1 million shillings was taken. 3 robbers have died in the shootout with police. They tried to shoot the public, but the public overpowered them and aided the police to try and capture them. However, the choice was between innocent people losing their lives and the lives of the robbers.
The Minister of State in the Second Vice President's Office, Mohammed Aboud, has told the Council of Representatives that Zanzibar has received 37 billion shillings from the central bank as dividend. Minister Mohammed Aboud gave the statement when responding to a question from the representative from Paje, Jaku Ayub, who wanted to know how much has the government of Zanzibar received as dividend from union institutions.
In the 2017-2018 year, we received 13,500 million shillings. On the side of Tanzania Revenue Authority, all revenue collected in Zanzibar goes into the main treasury of Zanzibar and is used for the benefit of the people of Zanzibar as planned in the annual budget of the Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar. Thus, Mr. Speaker, there are 26 institutions and organizations of the United Republic of Tanzania working in Zanzibar.
You have mentioned 28 institutions which have yet to give dividends, and in a short time TTCL has been reformed and given a dividend to the government of the United Republic. What government plan is there to look at these union institutions and ensure they give us dividends?
The Deputy Minister for Minerals, Stanislaus Nyongo, has said that the government will not hesitate to cancel licenses of investors discovered to have engaged in mining activities without paying the required taxes as mandated by the laws of the country. The Deputy Minister for Minerals said this during the official launch of an international exhibition of the technologies used for the production of gold and investment in the mining sector in Geita region.
There are challenges which result from our investor here, that is Geita Gold Mine. We have already told you to pay them compensation to the people whose house you have created cracks. There is no discussion. The directives have already been handed down. We do not want the residents of Geita to be sad by your investments here, but rather for them to praise you. We want the directives we have given to be considered and worked on immediately.
The value of the gold found in April was worth 5.9 billion shillings. And now, when we talk of August, gold found is worth 12.2 billion shillings. We commend the President for being a big defender of this limited mineral resource.
The climb-bound Mount Kilimanjaro by some people with albinism and human rights defenders has faced various challenges, causing some of the climbers to fail to finish the climb. The tour guide of the group, Deo Sosta, said the aim of the event was to raise awareness on the recognition and rights of people with albinism.
Many do not see very well, especially the albinos, but they use their own hands to climb. They are making efforts that I believe they will reach the top.
I think it was a long day, a long walk, with a lot of going ups and downs, stones, meetings. Yeah, it was just not a good day for me. But I'm still hopeful. I think today I will make it as well. Losing energy, but I'm hopeful. I want to make it to the top.
Not only to have good documents without anything practical happening, we want our lost glory of being free, living without fear to be back. We want to live freely. We don't want to be butchered. We don't want to have our bodies exhumed. We don't want any of sort of challenges. We want to demand our rights. That's the reason why, one of the reasons why we came here. We are demanding our rights. You don't beg for your rights. You beg for you demand for your rights.
And that is all for national news. International news follows after this break.
The relaunched Financial Times is the premier business newspaper in Tanzania. The Financial Times is a weekly source of information and business insight for the most successful leaders, executives, investors, and entrepreneurs in Tanzania and throughout the East Africa region. We provide critical business insight and in-depth features on companies, people, strategies, ideas, and economic trends. The Financial Times offers an unrivaled platform for advertisers to enhance brand awareness and move products. We will enable you to reach confident and informed consumers and decision makers who are ready to buy, which includes company CEOs, CFOs, managers, entrepreneurs, policymakers in government, politics and civil society, diplomats, members of the academia, and other key influencers. See examples of advertisement opportunities featured in Financial Times sections below. Telecom sections, real estate section, company news, banking, finance and insurance industry, information technology, national, regional and global markets overview, motoring, lifestyle. Get your copy of Financial Times for 2,000 Tanzania shillings only.
And in international news, angry protesters have burnt a government office in Beni town in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The protesters are demanding for leaders to be accountable on the worsening security situation of citizens.
All I want is safety. There is no security. An office could not burn down. That is a result of anger. Where is the government? How come we are dying like insects? There is anger in the streets, and the police are not doing anything. When police ignores such incidents, these things will prevail. I will not call these people crazy, but they are just extremely angry.
The Chief Justice in Uganda, Bart Katurebe, has warned the government against interfering with the judiciary. He said that the Constitution clearly states on the judiciary's independence, and this needs to be respected.
The protection of the independence of judiciary are not things that we should cry for in this era. These are issues that have been addressed in our Constitution.
Tragically wrong for this country once again.
Chancellor Angela Merkel seems to have suffered a shock defeat in a very key party vote after her Christian Democrat Party rejected her chosen candidate, Volker Kauder. With me is Jefferson Chase from Dershwell to share more insight into this unprecedented move. Jefferson, this is the first time this has happened to Chancellor Merkel in her 13-year reign. What does it mean for her?
Well, I think what it means for Angela Merkel is that her grip on the Conservative Party and indeed on power in Germany appears to be loosening somewhat. Volker Kauder was basically her right-hand man. He was the guy who was basically in charge of ensuring that the party did as she wished in Parliament. Now, for the members of the Conservative caucus, then to vote him out, to vote him out of his job and choose another whip is basically an affront and a weakening of Angela Merkel. And I think it speaks volumes that she chose not to appear in front of cameras yesterday. After this vote, the word that we were getting is that she was so shocked that she basically didn't want to appear in public.
And what has been German reaction to this?
Well, I mean, people on the street and, of course, in the media are speculating about whether this might not be the beginning of the end of the Merkel era. She's been in power for 13 years. And it does seem that all of the minor scandals and the quarrels within the coalition are finally beginning to take its toll on a woman who was previously regarded as invincible. I mean, basically what happens now is that the chancellor really needs a couple months of smooth sailing where where she can say, listen, we're in charge, the government is working well, because she, of course, has a full party convention in December at which she will have to decide whether she wants to run to remain chairwoman of the party. And if she doesn't do that, it's hard to see her staying on as chancellor. So basically, we're kind of looking at a situation where it might be the beginning of the end, or Merkel really needs to start making a comeback.
Well, it seems she has a lot of tough decisions to make, but let's switch gears to Oktoberfest. This is the world's largest traveling Fun Fest that's held in Munich each year. How long has this festival been happening, and what does this festival actually entail?
Well, of course, everybody knows the Oktoberfest. You might think it goes back centuries. It actually only goes back to 1810, and it was not originally about beer. It was a festival that was held to celebrate the marriage of the Crown Prince of Bavaria to the Crown Princess. However, that said, it quickly became about lots of people drinking lots and lots of beer. And that has a bit to do with the history of brewing in Germany. In the days back before there was cooling and refrigeration, basically brewers would brew up this strong beer in March because it wouldn't go bad when it got hot in the summer because they didn't have refrigerators. By October, they could start brewing again, so they needed to get rid of all of this leftover really strong beer. And that's what they sort of combined that with this royal wedding festival, and it became the Oktoberfest that millions of people around the world know and love today.
So how significant is this festival economically to Germany, especially if you consider the number of tourists that come in just for it?
It's staggeringly important. I'll give you a few numbers. There are 6 million visitors every year, 6 million. These people consume 7.1 million liters of beer. The average liter of beer at the Oktoberfest costs €11.50. And last year, in 2017, the Oktoberfest generated more than 1 billion, that's billion not million, 1 billion euros in revenue. So this is a massive boost to Munich and really to the entire economy of southern Germany.
Okay, my final question is, why is it called Oktoberfest? It clearly doesn't happen in October.
That's a very smart question. Basically, it's called Oktoberfest because that's when the original royal wedding took place. And what you need to know is that back in the early years, it only lasted 5 days. But of course, it made so much money and it was so much fun, because it is fun to sit around drinking beer all day, that they decided to extend it to 2 weeks. So they extended it back into September. They've kept the name Oktoberfest, even though it's kind of a misnomer now. But I mean, let's be honest about it. Oktoberfest has a kind of a ring to it, and Septemberfest, it doesn't really cut it.
I agree. There's something quite off about Septemberfest. Thank you again, Jefferson. Until next time, goodbye. And that special report ends our international news. We'll be right back with business.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
To be rich, I have to be a business person.
It's not an easy road at all.
People need to understand. You must quickly think, how cost effective are you going to be?
Business acts as a way in which it can bridge that gap.
Business Edition will keep you informed on latest developments in the financial sector, extractive industry, tourism, agriculture, energy, construction, and so much more. Meet entrepreneurs who create employment opportunities. Watch Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Back and in business news. The acting managing director of Tanzania Agriculture Bank, TADB, Japhet Justine, has said the bank is in the process of empowering farmers to grow 5 strategic crops, which include tea, so that the country can benefit more from the crops.
We're looking forward to improve tea farming in the country as among the 5 strategic crops. We have discussed how the bank can intervene and support small-scale farmers, and at the same time helping districts in fulfilling their targets of establishing tea processing industries.
The National Housing Corporation has completed various housing projects in the country and is currently implementing 3 projects in Dodoma region, where 300 houses are being constructed at Iyumbu, with 153 already completed.
The National Housing Corporation has been observing areas with high demands. For example, the audience that we have here, you can find company directors, council directors, local council leaders. We're emphasizing to them that we're looking for areas with high demands like new districts. For example, the new council in Mbeya, Busokelo, we have built houses.
Uses
of banks in collecting government revenues is very important, especially when we collect revenues electronically. It is easy, fast and accurate, reducing losses in revenue collection exercise. For those in Dodoma, they can come at Jakaya Kikwete Hall, where ALAT meeting is held, and get banking services.
The price of beef at the main auction in Pugu area, Dar es Salaam, has gone up due to a drop in the number of cattle entering Dar es Salaam from the regions.
Cattle prices are now high comparing to beef prices in butchers. But here cows are expensive. The reason is obvious that in this period, livestock keepers in the country have enough food. Thus, they have no urgency in selling their cattle. So cattle sent to auctions are few, causing the prices to go up.
And that's all for business news. Sports is next.
Hi, my name is Kotaro Tokuda.
What's up? My name is Sean Garnier.
I'm John Barnes from Liverpool Football Club. The hip, hop, a hip, the hip, hip, hop. You don't stop the rockin' to the bang bang boogie. Say up, jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Now what you hear?
I'm watching Sports Gazette.
I'm watching Sport Gazette.
And you're watching Sports Gazette
with Sebastian.
With Sebastian. Peace out.
Yes! And you can also watch Sports Gazette for highlights and interviews regarding sports. Do not miss Sports Gazette every Wednesday at 7 p.m. only on Capital Television.
And on to sports news. 21 teams from 9 countries have confirmed participation in the Zone 5 Basketball Championships, scheduled to take place from September 30th to October 8th at the Indoor National Stadium in Dar es Salaam.
My call as the Federation President is that first, Tanzanians should appear in large numbers from the 30th of September at the Indoor National Stadium. After being opened at the Indoor National Stadium, the competition will also be taking place at the Bandari Court, so some of the games will be played at the Bandari Court in Kurasini, while others will be played at the Indoor National Stadium from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day.
Azam Football Club has returned from the Lake Zone to start camp as they prepare to face Lipuli FC on Friday at the Azam Complex in Chamazi, Dar es Salaam.
The team was already in Dar es Salaam and we entered the camp officially today for our next game against Lipuli. The game was earlier planned to be played tomorrow, but the Football Federation, TFF, has moved the game, and so it will be played on Friday at 7 p.m. We are playing Lipuli. Lipuli played KMC yesterday in the Premier League, so they need ample time to rest and prepare for the next game against us.
Phil Foden was compared to Barcelona legend Andres Iniesta after his goal in Manchester City's Carabao Cup win over Oxford United, with boss Pep Guardiola saying he can be an amazing player for the club over the next decade.
The 18-year-old, who's tipped for a golden future with club and country, ran the show and had a hand in all 3 goals as City eventually overpowered the League One strugglers to ease to victory. Oxford manager Carl Robinson said his feet are to die for. His ability and his orientation of himself on the pitch is genius. Phil Foden was compared to Barcelona legend Andres Iniesta after his goal in Manchester City's Carabao Cup win over Oxford United, with boss Pep Guardiola saying he can be an amazing player for the club over the next decade. Meanwhile, Manchester United manager Jose Mourinho says he has no problem with Paul Pogba, despite telling the midfielder he will not captain the club again. Mourinho told Pogba he's no longer United's second captain, reportedly because of concerns about his attitude. The only truth is that I made the decision for him not to be second captain anymore, but there is also no fallout, no problem, Mourinho said. I'm the manager, I can make these decisions. Speaking on Sky Sports, he added, no fallout at all, no problem at all, just a decision that I don't have to.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. On behalf of everyone who worked to prepare this news bulletin for you tonight, thank you for watching and have a good night.